Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. This episode is dedicated to a guy that watches, I think he watches almost all my episodes. David, you know who you are. He asked me about Washington State GSM blends. And GSM stands for Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. And those are really Rhone-style wines because in the Rhone Valley of France, in the Côte d'Rône, they use Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, Grenache dominant, usually, depending on the area it comes from. And in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, the big daddy of the Rhone, the southern Rhone Valley, they can use up to 13 different grapes in a Châteauneuf-du-Pape. In fact, a friend of mine gave me a bottle of Pégao Châteauneuf-du-Pape that used all 13 of those grapes in that blend. So that's pretty cool. I mean, 13 different grapes. Now, some of these wines venture into some of those grapes that they also can use in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Cool thing about the United States is that you can do just about anything you want. There's not specific rules about what you can do. You just have to have at least 75% of a varietal in there to call it that varietal. So if you have a cab, it has to be 75%, at least 75% cab, as an example. I talk about the diversity of Washington State wines. This is Washington State Wine Month. And I think that it's important to understand that when you're going into this, because these are very many different varietals that they use in these. Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, some of the guys that are using Cinsault. They're using also, let's just take a quick peek. Cinsault, Counoise, Syrah. Well, I just said that. That's kind of silly. And this one also has, this has a little Cinsault Carignan in it. So they can play a little bit with these. But we wanted to look at these. This is for David. He is asking about GSM blends from Washington. So here we go, David. This is a 2019 Sellers Subduction Red, Columbia Valley. This rolls in at $22. And it is 38% Syrah, 22% Mourvedre, 18% Carignan, 17% Grenache, 3% Cinsault. 100 barrels produced. That's 250 bottles roughly. There's a label, a little stain on it. Sorry about that. So let's get started on this. GSM blends from Washington State. The state where they can do a lot of different varietals very well. Sellers, Poppy and James Mentone work together as husband-wife team as winemakers. They've been doing this a long time. They're on the they're on the Columbia Gorge, down the Columbia River, close to Oregon. So this is really fairly light. I would call this a dark red to light red. Very bright on it. I hope you can see that. I don't know. Let's see what we get on those. I'm getting a little chocolate, strawberries and plums, and a little bit of red flower coming through as well. Let's see what we get on the palate. So an initial attack on the front of the palate of strawberries and plums, big time. Softens up on the mid palate, goes in a little tiny grip of tannins show up on the finish, where there's also a little touch of black and white pepper. Interesting, almost tobacco, but not quite on the mid palate. Very, very soft wine, but good structure. The tannins are very soft, but just like I said, a little bit of attitude on the finish. I like that initial attack of fruit on the front. It carries actually through the mid palate into the finish, where you get a little bit of that tobacco comes through as well, which I really like. Kind of very cool. So this is a lighter style. This is a very cool wine because I could see this going with salmon. This would be a very good wine with salmon, with pork loin, pork tenderloin, pork chops, ham. I would have this with lamb as well. I like that little kind of peppery thing on the backside. little nice expansion on the mid palate. Solid wine. Solid example of what you can do. I like this because it's kind of ethereal, lighter, elegant wine, but packs a little bit of a punch up front and in the mid palate and on the finish. So yeah, I like this wine a lot. I'm going to go BB plus on that. I think it's a very solid wine. Let's move on to the 2018 Gilbert Sellers Alabroges. I hope I didn't butcher that. Alabroges. This is their Syrah Grenache Mourvedre blend from Yakima Valley. This rolls in at $24. I think I have a tasting coming up with Gilbert Sellers at some time. This is 37% Syrah, 36% Grenache, 26% Mourvedre. All of these guys put the blend on the back. We've talked about this before, but I want you to blow up the comment section. Please, if you're seeing this video, blow it up. Just say yay or nay. Do you like to see the grapes on the back or not? Obviously with a cab, it's really not, you probably don't think too much about it, or a Merlot. I'm talking about blends, red blends. Do you like to see that? Now they don't do it in France. Very rarely will you see that, but that Pigalle that I told you I tried with all 13 grapes in it, it mentioned all the grapes on the label. Okay, this rolls in $24. Gilbert Sellers. They're 5th generation fruit growers, and they started the winery to kind of showcase the fruit that they grow themselves. This is a little darker than the Syncline. I would go towards burgundy, dark red, definitely darker, but not. You can still see through it. Yes, you can see through it. Let's see what we get on the nose. This is almost candied, candied plums. I'm getting some blackberry on this. Has almost a dusty, kind of earthy component to it, which is really cool. Yeah, I wonder what the alcohol content is on this, because I'm burning my nose hairs just a bit. 14.8. I believe the Mantones might be toned down a little bit. Yeah, they're 13.6. Syncline is located, I think I said, on the gorge near Oregon on the Columbia River side. I think near Lyle, I believe. So, let's see what we get on the... Oh, that's it. I got just a little bit of tomato leaf, which is really weird. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very meaty. This reminds me of a Rhone Valley wine. That's the texture of a lot of Rhone Valley wines. You get that kind of meaty, kind of roasted meat, raw meat sort of thing going on. This has a little bit of that. Now, this has a real intensity to it. Like, it really has some high notes on it from the acidity, but at the same time it's very balanced. I don't call it a mouth-puckering wine at all, but it just kind of peaks on the palate with the notes of that tomato leaf thing comes through barely, but I sense it, and it adds a nice characteristic to this wine. There's an interesting flavor I can't quite nail, but definitely plums, blackberries. What is that on the back side? It's so cool. It morphs into this really interesting flavor profile. Red flowers, for sure, big time. Which I didn't get on the nose, which is interesting. Sorry, I was starting to go off into my own little world. A little tobacco on the backside. Yeah, it turns into this potpourri of all those flavors. Blackberry, plum, maybe a touch of strawberry. Not getting as much, a little white pepper way on the backside. This baby has a long finish. I'm still tasting this wine. And before I drink another sip, very dry, but very delicious at the same time. almost like currants kind of sneak in on the back side of this one. Red currants sneak in a little bit with the red flowers, with the plum, with the strawberry, with the blackberry. Yeah, it just turns into this potpourri. Very nice wine, very complex, a little deeper than the Syncline. I'm going to have to go B plus A minus on that. More on, let's just go straight up A minus. I'm feeling generous today. That's an A minus wine. GSM blend for 24 bucks. Let's move on. Robert Ramsey, Mason's Red, Columbia Valley 2016. This rolls in at $18. I wonder if I should be tasting this last. I don't know. Now, Bob Harris is a winemaker, not Bob Ramsey. He's a great guy. Great guy. I want to thank Bob for coming up to the island I think it was a couple of years ago, and presenting his wines to my wine group. Very fun. The vineyards are McKinley Springs, Red Heaven, Finney Hill, and Upland Vineyards. Listen to this: 35% Syrah, 35% Cinsault, 13% Cabernet Sauvignon. So there's a little off on the GSM blend, but by throwing the cab in there. 8% Counoise, 5% Grenache, 4% Mourvedre. So the cab, I'm cheating just a little bit, but this is still GSM. It's got Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre in it with a little cab. Now he probably throws a cab in there to give it a little more structure. But hey, we're going with it. We are going with this one. Can I show you the label? Hopefully I did. There you go. 18 bucks. Great value if it lives up to what I think it's going to. So this is about the same color, maybe between the Syncline and the Gilberts. Kind of a light red, darker. Gets a little bit dark into the dark red category. A little burgundy showing up in there. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what we get on the nose. This has a little bit of a funkiness on the nose. There's almost like a baking spice component trying to come through there. Get a little currants. Currants and with a plum strawberry undertow. And a little tobacco as well. I'm going to stick with that. Let's see what we get on the palate. On the palate. So 13% cab really comes out in this wine. 35 Syrah, 35 Cinsault. They left the N out of the Cinsault. That's funny. On the label. Did you know that, Bob? The N is out of Cinsault. Anyway, the cab really gives it a really solid currant notes on the palate. It gives it a depth that the other two didn't have, although I think the Gilbert Sellers was awesome. So, currant, tobacco, very smooth, round shoulders on this baby. Round shoulders, very plush, but structured at the same time. This is not a fruit bomb, but it has more fruit than either one of these did. Just nicely done. On the back side, tobacco really kind of dominates the back side of this one. With a little bit of earthiness as well, which I like. Get a little plum action underneath, like the spine. Kiss of strawberry comes through as well. This is a very solid wine, very enjoyable. It's not truly a GSM blend, sorry about that. But that's okay. We'll throw a little cab in there, why not? No rules, remember. Washington, United States doesn't have the rules that they have in France and Italy and Spain, like that. You know, they don't tell you what you have to do. You can experiment a little bit, which Bob Harris did in this one. the spice notes really linger on the backside. Little grip action, also very dry but very delicious. So, although not a truly GSM blend, it does have all three of those in it. The cab is a little bit fudging as far as the Rhone style wine. That's okay. Nice job. I'm going to go B plus, A minus on that one as well, especially for $18. I think that's a solid value. Still tasting it. I like that grip action on the backside, that earthy kind of tobacco, currant, plum, strawberry thing kind of all blends together on the finish. Good balance. All of these were excellent wines. Once again, it just kind of proves that we can do a lot of stuff in Washington State, a lot of different varietals, and we do them well. So hopefully you're focusing on Washington wines this month, you know, because we're going to go off into other directions after March. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I put out episodes on Mondays and Thursdays. So you get 2 a week. Monday for the beginning of the week, Thursday for the weekend. It's working out really nice, I hope. Do you guys like that? Do you guys like that? Let me know. Let me know. I want to know. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.